Arg. Hey, Brad. Hey, Adam. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Just
Bobby,
sailing the seas, baby. Sailing the seas.
That's
Bobby and
right.
Adam, it's great to be here with you guys. I love the hat, Bobby.
Appreciate it. My other hat doesn't go over the headset so well, so
Hmm.
got to go with the stretchier one.
That's
Man,
well, they
well,
say about pirates before they go out to sea is you always need to stretch. And so the stretchier one, that's the right answer.
that's right.
Setting the bar low. I like it. What's gonna make my pirate jokes look real good? I love this collaboration. Captains and pirates don't always get along, but I don't think we'll have any mutinies today. We'll see.
Not
Mhm.
today. Today we're gonna collab, and so let's go ahead and get this party started.
Yeah,
I really like the title that we came up with here, MSPs charting the course, because that's really what we're gonna be talking about and helping MSPs really think, how do we really engage and mitigate risk and help with our sales efforts when it comes to being an MSP? And so it's really cool, Bobby and Adam, to be here with you guys, charting the course for MSPs.
cool
Absolutely.
to be here too. Yeah, engage like a pirate, mitigate risk like a captain. I love, I Thread has some really cool security things. We don't talk about it a lot. And so I don't get a lot of opportunity to talk about security and mitigating risk. So thanks for bringing me along. I'm super excited to get a jam on this a little bit.
It's a riveting topic. Riveting topic. Mitigating risk. Actually, I think it really is. I said that a little tongue in cheek with sarcasm. That's captain sarcasm, not pirate sarcasm. I'm not saying which one's best, but we all know.
Appreciate the
Um,
clarity.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's dig on in here. And I think it's appropriate that we kind of go around the room and give a quick intro of each of us. The crew.
Sure. Yeah, I think the best part for me of getting to do this was having the ThreatCaptain team make some AI pirate images of me. Now I'm wanting to get a wrist tat and earrings and some hair implants and grow my hair back out. So uh love that, Brad. But yeah, my name is Bobby Jacobs. I'm the head of growth here at Thread. We help MSPs meet their customers where they are, but just really big on helping people create magical service experiences, improve their service desk. Um, you know, I was with Lion Guard for 4 or 5 years before I was here, and so I did get to play in the security space more when I was over on that side. I see Steve in the comments. Hey, Steve, we definitely worked together when I was at Lion Guard. So yeah, just love helping MSPs, and that's a little bit about me. Yeah, I wear a pirate costume more often than not. So if you see me as my alter ego, I you know every once in a while I don't wear it.
Well, I'm Adam. I'm a Virgo. I'm 20 years as a tattoo artist. I've never been paid, but at all of the ThreatCaptain booths, we will have a tattoo ink set up. So you can come over and get fresh ink. Just come see us. That's not true. We don't do that. There's way too many HIPAA violations and things like that. No,
Adam,
I've
you know
done.
that we did that at a
You
conference, right?
did. You gave
We did do
tattoos.
that.
We did. It were real tattoos. I thought that you were going for further collaboration here. I,
Well,
I have a tattoo that I got at a Thread booth.
we only do tramp stamps. So I mean, if that's still version territory, we can collab. We're there for you, baby.
Time for another webinar.
Okay, back on task, kids. So yeah, this I am co-founder with my good buddy Brad. My big passion is after about 20 something years of doing this cyber. I got started in cybersecurity before it was called cybersecurity. I fixed Y2K back when I was 20 years old. You're welcome. But the thing that I'm most passionate about, it says here, co-founder slash insights, is that I see so many amazing technologists not get funding to do projects they want. And they just don't understand that there's sales, internal, external, all around. And so I've really gotten passionate about that human interaction between two people, one with budget, one with risk mitigation, and how do they see eye to eye and decide to go and do something. So it's been a huge passion of mine. Launched 7 cybersecurity companies up to this point. 2 of them even worked. So that's pretty cool. And
That's
now
pretty good hit rate.
hey, I know, right? I'm batting above the average. So yeah, it's I haven't found a better vehicle than a business to bring a cool new idea to people who need it. And so that's just what we keep doing.
Oh man. Well, I love both your AI images, and I was the artist, so I do like the work that was done by AI. Actually, I can't take credit, but pleasure to be sitting here with you guys on the ship. I'm Brad Powell, co-founder of ThreatCaptain, in charge of revenue here. If there's anything you want to take away from me, when we're thinking about building business and building early adopters and building revenue, we always want to look at the top right of the graph, that hockey stick, right? We just got through with the Stanley Cup, but we're thinking about the hockey stick going up. And you always want to look at that upper right of when you hit all those numbers and you're growing like crazy and you're super profitable. I'm really obsessed with the bottom left of that graph and really starting at really scratch made nothing and really getting that zero up to $1 million, 2 million in ARR. And that is really where I found my passion and obsession. And that kind of leads into, what we're doing here at ThreatCaptain and some of the things that we learned when we started Hook Security back in 2018 and working with MSPs and being a part of the community, something that I absolutely love, and helping MSPs think through, how do I build a better business and become a more trusted advisor when it comes to cybersecurity. And so pleasure to be here with you guys. Really excited about the topics that we're going to be talking about, and move on from here.
Awesome, Brad. Love you guys making a second run at helping people do some really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to play jazz music with somebody like, and trust, right? It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Hey, just so everyone knows it, if you're interested in Thread, we enable service magic. Our whole thing is helping MSPs meet their customers where they are. Essentially, the end customer chats from something like Microsoft Teams. It integrates into your ticketing system like ConnectWise or Autotask, or soon to be Halo. And we see over a 30% decrease in time to resolution for chat-based support. So there's a lot of really cool things that come into it. We do a bunch with AI as far as like automated categorization, prioritization, moving towards dispatch, suggesting responses. But I mentioned we talk about security sometimes. What is really cool, we were at Secure, Brad, I saw you there, right? IT Nation Secure a few weeks ago, and there was a whole session on AI phone calls where an end user is being impersonated. Maybe it's your CEO and they're asking for access to something, or the CEO of one of your customers. Then it was an insane session, really crazy. And end user verification is becoming a huge topic. Chat, if done right, is the most secure way to communicate, because that end user is already verified. They're using multiple systems. We can do double verification. Not something that we talk a lot about on our website or anything like that, but it's pretty freaking cool.
That is real cool. I mean, one of the things I like that you just said is multiple verifications, right? The number one thing bad guys are after are the human interactions with other people in different companies. So the fact that it's already secure, you're already doing all things, it's like easy mode. It's fantastic.
Yeah, easy mode. I like it. Yeah, so that's a little bit about Thread. I think the next slide will give a bit more insight. If we look at like this end users in Teams or Slack or on their desktop, it's logging on the ticket. I'm a pirate because we say death to the ticket. We hate tickets. We think they're a terrible way to treat people. They're not meant for communication. You do need them for like billing and logging stuff and all the boring things. And so when we say death of the ticket, it's just automating all that boring stuff that the end user or the technician has to decide, like, am I going to do a time entry? Am I going to follow process? Am I going to do the things I'm supposed to do? Or am I going to serve my customer? And ideally, the way that they want to work is also your process. Like if your process is the easiest way to serve somebody and create service magic, things are going to work really well. Today, for most MSPs, tickets are at odds with that. And so our goal with our service experience platform is to bring those things together, and it starts with integrated chat.
Preach it.
Man, and you guys won Pitch It last year, in the accelerator. So that is that speaks
and you guys are in
testament to
Pitch
what
It this year.
That's right. But that just speaks testaments to what you guys have built, what you guys are doing, and the team that you guys have. And man, we love what you're doing over here at ThreatCaptain and for the MSPs.
We probably should have done some type of post about how this is like a Pitch It collab webinar and Tag Connect wise or something, but maybe afterwards.
Well, I did use the hashtag that Sean Lardo asked us to use, and
okay.
But, we probably would not be doing this webinar right if we didn't use Sean Lardo's name in this some way somehow, right?
Sean Lardo.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Pick it up.
Yep.
So can we nerd out for just a quick second before we jump into ThreatCaptain? Because one of the things that I'm just fascinated about one of your statements here is, the technology is getting in the way of the human interaction, right? And that is the root of the nerd's problem. And I say nerd lovingly. That's my people, right?
100%.
Right. And when we get so obsessed about the tech that we get in our product and what we're doing and what we're selling, and it gets in the way of the natural human interaction, it always is a crash and burn. You're always hitting the reef. So
yeah, and you're hitting the reef. I love it.
Yeah.
But typically you put more process in place to solve a problem, right? Oh, we misbilled somebody. Oh, like we have someone who's really mad that they were overbilled because it wasn't clear, and we're like going back and doing it later, or we're going to fix a server and we didn't have all of the changes that were made from last time. So now like you're not allowed to close out a ticket unless you've done like all your notes, and you have to do a time entry before you're allowed to respond to somebody. You have to go document your stuff in IT Glue or whatever it is. And individually, those are good things, but man, that adds up. And it's like, all right, here's the 27 things a technician has to do before they can go help the next person. It's not fun.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing when I've missed a flight or there's a problem with a delay and the person on the other end of the phone says there's no way I can get you on the next flight because I've got to go through 20 steps of my process. Yeah.
Yep. 100%. Love the double click there, Adam. Tell us a little bit about ThreatCaptain.
I'm going to let Brad jump in on this thing. I tell you what, you're about to get a gift. Check this out. Yeah. Here he goes.
One of the things that we realized over 6 years of working with MSPs in specifically the security awareness training space was that, even though there's check boxes that need to be checked with that type of service, and what we were building was very fun, engaging, edutainment style content for security awareness training. Man, it was still difficult for an MSP to really go sell cybersecurity. And Ab and I kind of looked at each other and said, there's a problem that we can go solve and add value to the MSP community through cybersecurity selling and prospecting and really enriching QBRs. And so we're doing that through risk intelligence and really giving an MSP the fiduciary focus that they need in selling and communicating to not only the directors of IT and security and IT admins, but also to the C-suite. And I think that's super important because the C-suite, they're holding the budgets, right? And they're the ones that are allocating that budget, but they need to understand why are they investing in this cybersecurity product or service that the IT and security admin team clearly knows, the technology and what the benefits are, but being able to explain that in a way that can really help both teams, both organizations in the business understand this from a financial risk standpoint. So ThreatCaptain, we're a financial cyber risk platform specifically designed for MSPs. And we really help them through the platform focus on storytelling, using industry frameworks and industry reporting based off kill chains and based off the financial data that's coming out from like the DBIR, MITRE attack framework, et cetera, to really revolutionize the way an MSP comes to market and comes to a customer to talk about cybersecurity spend and why you need this control and why this is important, why this is not important, based off this security analytics technology that we put together at ThreatCaptain.
Man, that is, I mean, so cool for so many reasons. I know you're about to go a little more into it, but like, I would love, whether that's now or later, I'd love to hear a story of like an MSP that has like gotten that return and been able to like go to their customers and explain it. Like, I know you guys have so many stories.
Oh yeah. So, you know, I'll jump on this. I'll walk the plank on this one. The puns are going to keep going. All right. I'm just going to sail on through these stormy seas, pun after
We need
pun.
a scoreboard. You're up like 5-0 at
He
this
is
point.
up if we're keeping score here.
You know, Kobe, it's all good. I just train more, baby. I just train more. So we used to do tabletop war games, right? Because one of the things we wanted to do is bring all the executives together, and we wanted them to go through a shared experience. Because the problem was that everyone was using risk, the word risk, in a different way. Risk to a financial person versus risk to a salesperson versus risk to your cyber person. It's all different. So we needed a shared language. We needed something to bring them all together. And so we started doing tabletop exercises with them. And honestly, it wasn't until they could visualize the data, like so you see in front of you visualization of the data, that they were able to then start talking to each other about, well, what actually is risk? What's business risk? What's cyber risk? What's fiduciary risk? And they were able to take this war game that we did, and they were then able to use this tool and then to go and talk out to all of their customers. And here was the big win. So the big win was, in order for someone to listen to you say, hey, we're just going to put all these cyber services into your monthly fee. You should trust me. You need this. Take your medicine, right? Which is how you should be selling cyber, really. Most MSPs should just be bundling it in and telling them it's for your own good. But most MSPs don't do that. And the reason they don't is because they don't have authority or trust with their customers as cyber experts. Right. So what actually helped this MSP, and they were just beginning their virtual Cisco, they were doing vCISO and offering more and more cyber products. They had to position themselves as the trusted authority in cyber. And they used our tool and they used our stories and our narratives to position themselves that way. So that had two results for them. And we're still new on this voyage. We're not, right? So we're still waiting to see how this all goes. But already they're having an easier time closing deals, and they're experiencing less churn because people are sticking with them. And if I can go to you and say cybersecurity can increase the total lifetime value of a customer, and it doesn't have to be a difficult sale? No, too soon for another pun. We're moving on. Then make it happen, right? Let's go take a look at it. And so that's what the beauty of, I think, software like Thread and like ThreatCaptain, it's all about, how do we facilitate a human interaction without the technology getting in the way? And for us, the human interaction is, how do we talk about cyber risk as business risk and then come to an agreement about what we should do? Dang, that was good. Are we recording this? Steve, did you hear that? I'm killing it, man. I'm crushing it.
I love it. And I mean, it makes so much sense. Like, there's obviously a scale of how knowledgeable an average MSP is on cyber and whether they truly are that trusted advisor or not. But even the people that are the most knowledgeable, it's so much work to put something like this together. Like, it's one thing to tell somebody like, hey, we're great at it. I've done it for X amount of years and I've used these tools and I've had these jobs. Be able to say like, hey, here's data and we can look at this and I understand what it means and I can explain it to you. And it's very straightforward. Like, you guys are just doing so much cool work, and it's not 500 pages of something like rapid fire tools that it's like, hey, go like read through this. I don't know if maybe you guys don't want to say that. I'm happy to. Like, hey, here's dozens of hours of papers to go read through versus like, hey, here's the most valuable stuff.
Yeah, well, if you want someone to use your tool, you better make it so they don't have to hire a consultant to do it. And I think that 500 pages is great for an enterprise. I think that there's some people whose margin and their tolerance of risk is so low, they have to do all that. But for 99% of humans and businesses, you don't need that level of, that razor thin risk margin. Most companies have a higher risk tolerance from a business point of view than we as cyber practitioners have from a, because we think that risk is pass or fail on the cybersecurity side of the house.
Yep.
Business looks at it as a spectrum of different risks and how they're going to think about it. And so you're always going to fail. Another way of putting this is business looks at how likely a thing is to happen, while cyber looks at what's the impact of the thing to happen. And until you get on the same page about likelihood, which is what the whole purpose of these colors and wonderful things are, is to say, this is how likely a breach will be based off of your industry, how you are, all of the controls you have in place, blah, blah, blah. And this is what kind of impact you can look at. And by the way, here's how you reduce the impact based off of putting out these security controls. And I don't want to ever be more complicated than that. Right? It's such a hard, I know you've probably done this, like there's a million product features you can shove into the product. But again, man, I just want that human interaction between a solution provider and the customer. 10-minute conversation.
I think it's so important, the point that you bring up. Like if we're gonna say like, what should the average MSP, like what should they do to be better at selling cyber?
Mhm.
I think having that perspective of like, it's not all or nothing. Like you don't just go in and like get really angry because someone doesn't just fully agree. Because honestly, like you're living a fallacy at that point. Like if you drove a car to work, you're accepting risk, right?
Yep.
And it's the same thing with selling cyber. Like you have to be real and say like, hey, maybe you guys like do want to accept risk. Like maybe you are okay with like getting ransomware. Like if your actual assets of your business like mean so little to you, and you're like, actually you just have all your customers' numbers in your phone and you're mowing their lawns, like maybe you don't need any cybersecurity. You probably still do, but I think like putting it out there, like I'm here to do what makes sense and be reasonable. And like, here's a lot of things we can look at to facilitate that conversation and dive in deeper. And by the way, you very likely do need to be taking cybersecurity very seriously. But like, you tell me, like, I'm open to have a real conversation instead of just like shove tools down your throat.
Oh yeah, you broadsided that one. That was so much right there. By the way, broadside is all the cannons shooting. Just letting you know.
Well, let's kind of set the stage here. When we're talking a lot about mitigating cybersecurity risk in the selling process, and how MSPs should be thinking about this and charting their own course for this. And I like to start with this stat that Adam and I found from the Service Leadership Continuum report last year that came out. And it showed, Bobby, I don't know if we told you this yet, but it showed that 17% of MSPs believe that they are qualified to sell and are confident in selling cybersecurity. So that was 17%. And I'm no mathematician, but that's 83% of MSPs think that they're not equipped or qualified or competent to sell cybersecurity. And so, I mean, I think that's huge, right? And so, I mean, Adam, we talk about client trust, and we talk about, having confidence in selling cybersecurity. I want to pose something to you, like when we're thinking about the sales process and building trust and building confidence with potential clients.
Yeah.
How does effective risk mitigation in that sales process, how does that help build trust and confidence when we're thinking about prospecting?
Well, so there's a fundamental, so there is no such thing as a simple sell when it comes to cybersecurity. It is always a consultative based sell, because there is such a complex threat landscape that there is no silver bullet for anything. So what actually happened, I'll tell you what people do wrong first, and then we'll unpack it, right? So the thing that MSP will do wrong is they have their stacks of offering, and then they come in and say, I have these things, which one would you like to buy?
Mm-hmm.
And then the conversation goes, well, those things are too expensive per month, and I can go down the street and that guy's going to do it for $30 less, and da 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 da. And all of a sudden you went into a commodity land, and you didn't position yourself. The first thing that a seller has to do is ask questions and be authentically curious. So it's called consultative based selling, where you're a consultant who's actually there to figure out exactly what they need. I'll give you some high levels, right? Every business has a different kind of compliance need. Most of them are fairly the same, but there's always some nuance. Every customer has some different kind of cyber insurance requirement where their policy means something different, and everyone has different supply chain requirements, and everyone has different vendor requirements. So every business, while it might look the same, has small nuances that really need to be discovered. And so if you go in without understanding the nuances by asking questions and just shove your products and services at people, you move yourself out of that trusted advisor. You become that used car salesman who's like, buy the car, get off the lot, buy the car, buy the car, right? And so one of the things that you have to do is you have to slow down and be curious. That discovery meeting should be a discovery meeting, not what do I have that you need to buy? And so what we encourage folks to do is to have your high-level security assessment ready to go. That's what we built into the tool. What are the basic questions you need to ask so that you understand that security posture and requirements of your customer? And only then do you start talking about, well, what do you want to do? And I'll go back to something that Bobby said earlier. The first thing you have to ask them to do is, what is your tolerance for risk? Because if I'm approaching this like you're a law firm that's holding all of this information and you're actually selling donuts, and they're delicious donuts, but the IP is pretty much out there, right? Those are completely different conversations. So does that kind of hit the does that fill your sails with wisdom?
Adam, I love that you got into like some of the undertone to that is if there's 83% of MSPs that don't feel like they're good at sales, or sorry, equipped to sell cybersecurity, I think it's a lot because they just don't feel equipped to sell generally.
Oh,
Like I have a
yeah.
playbook for how to sell MSP stuff, but what we're saying is like it's not even about being super knowledgeable about
That's right.
cybersecurity. Obviously, that's important. You guys can help with that in a huge way, but you got to get your sea legs when you're selling things. It can't be just like going out there for the first time. Yeah, that's one on the board.
Mhm.
Can't
That's
just be
one on the
going out
board.
there for the first time and like trying to sell. Like go read Challenger Sale. Go read
Yeah.
some books that aren't going to take a long time. I'm sure there's some 30-minute podcasts on the same deal, and have those consultative sell conversations, so that you got your sea legs and no one's making you walk the plank. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
so the thing that most of us don't know, we're highly talented nerds that know how to click next. Sometimes I wasn't in cybersecurity. I clicked next for IBM. That's a different joke. There's no pun involved. That's a different webinar. But the idea here is when you're trying to position yourself as the smartest person in the room, you typically don't have to get good at asking questions. You don't typically need to go through and so I digress, but I'll tell you where I'm going to land here. I was running my company. We're doing 3.5 million in revenue. I was having a hell of a time growing past that because I couldn't break into new budgets and new customers. I had the people who loved me were buying from me. The people who didn't know me, I couldn't get going. And I went and took Sandler's sales training for 2 years. And the thing that it helped
Awesome.
me most is with my marriage, because apparently it's important to ask questions in your marriage too. Newsflash. Anyway, but getting trained and practicing every week and role playing the calls and all that, sales is a real profession. It's not just some extrovert who's going out there and making it happen. Did you know that introverts make the best salespeople? It's
Do they
because
listen?
it's because, and also they can't wait to get off the phone. So they're there. like, like I'm trying to like have a good time on this call, but I don't, there's no such thing as a shot clock for me when I'm talking, right? I just want to go, go, go. I'm having the most fun.
Yeah.
The traditional psychological makeup of a nerd is custom built for being effective at sales. They just lack the training and tools. It's just like another API, guys. The brain of the other human, just another API call. What do you need to say and how do you need to interact with it? It's nothing more complicated than that. Well, add hygiene. You don't want to smell like a dirty pirate.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a few other pieces there. But no, I love that. It is, it's a back and forth, and there's something to efficiency.
Yeah, and practice. Like, find someone to practice with. Don't go in cold.
And I think what's so cool about like this conversation, like I think, 5 years ago, if we're having this, it's like, okay, yeah, I can be good at sales, but like cyber's so complicated. And it's not to say that it hasn't gotten more complicated in the past 5 years, but you have tools, and I'm plugging you guys. You have tools like ThreatCaptain that take a lot of that off the table. It's not that you don't need to know what your stack is and what's valuable and how to talk about it, but being able to present stuff clearly takes a lot of the other work off the table.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, one of the best cyber salespeople, best industries for cyber sales I've ever seen were CPAs, because all they did was say, "Oh, that's a liability." Well, let me rephrase that. Tax attorneys, not necessarily CPAs. Somebody goes a little bit further, right? I remember listening to a CPA tell one of their customers that they needed to get better at cybersecurity because it was hurting their bottom line.
Love
And
it.
I was
Pretty
like,
compelling.
oh, that CPA knows nothing about anything related to computers other than I saw this line item, the bookkeeper did this, I'm looking at, we're projecting, the financial risk of your inaction is now making me have to make a phone call. And so that's as easy as it has to be to start the conversation. Because one of the other things that we do is we try to over prepare for these conversations. You don't need every single solution for every single threat. What you need is to know what that customer is trying to do, and then have a conversation where you develop that solution for them. And by the way, 90% of what they need is what you already have. 10% is you're going to have to find out a different way to handle that. And that's okay. No one ever thinks that there's a one-stop shop for security. And if they do, tell them to call me. I'll fix them.
There you go.
Well,
I think
Boom.
I would like to say too, as we think about risk management strategies for an MSP and really implementing that into prospecting and sales, and then also the security architecture that you're putting together for your clients, it's got me wondering what you guys think is really like, how can MSPs use the data and analytics to really enhance these risk management strategies?
Well, it all boils down to storytelling.
There you go.
The people buy on emotion, they don't buy on logic. We all say that, but then when we get there, we immediately start talking about logic, right? I know that me punishing my children doesn't change their behavior, but it makes me feel good, so I keep doing it, right? There's the outcomes do not align with the actions. And so the idea of using the data to tell a story that's relevant to the customer that you're talking to is literally everything. And chances are you're just meeting the customer or you're in the middle of discovery, so you don't actually have stories with them. The best stories are, hey, remember last year when that thing happened and we were able to fix that? That's a great story. But when you're prospecting and that's a good story for QBRs, but for prospecting and initial contact, you need to use other people's stories. And that's why we believe that the most powerful thing is a company just like yours, or a founder just like yours to the customer. And if you don't have that, then the industry or sector. And if you don't have that, then and eventually the globe, right? Because when I say there's a $10.5 trillion in damages in cyber that's about to happen next year, that means absolutely nothing. But if I say 15,000 auto dealerships went down today because of a ransomware attack, and that is for real. Was it yesterday or today? Anyway, it happened, right? Now, if you're telling that story to an auto dealership, you can say, do you want us to call one of those guys so you can talk to them? So until you build up your own stories, use other people's stories to help set the stage, and use real data that is meaningful. Sometimes the numbers are way too big to be meaningful. So, and you're going to have to perfect that. That's not something I'm going to be able to tell you what those numbers look like. But storytelling to help paint the picture in such a way that leads to trust, leads to a good conversation, and now you're in the game.
Yeah, and it's not about turning one over on somebody or like getting their emotions going so that they're not thinking about something else. It's to help that person. Like, I think that's what's hard for a lot of people that aren't excited to go have these conversations and try to just sell things. It's ultimately to help that person. Like, you're in IT and working with an MSP because you believe that people need to be more secure and that you have an opportunity to help people do that. But it's hard for them to understand that. And you may say, like, I don't want to tell stories. I'm just going to show them my product because I'm being the most straightforward, and then they can make a decision. That's cool, except to your point, they don't understand that. And so telling a story helps them digest the information that you care so much about, that you want them to understand. And I think it's just like, that perspective is so hard for people. Like, you're not selling, that's funny car analogy, you're not selling used cars, and you're not selling snake oil trying to trick people. You're trying to help people digest the information that's super confusing, and stories are a really powerful way to do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Both of you guys there, and as MSPs, it is the obligation to speak the truth. And I think a lot of us in cybersecurity sometimes lean on the FUD, the FUD sell.
Yeah.
And I haven't always say this, there's nothing wrong with selling with FUD, but to a degree, right? It's your obligation as a cybersecurity trusted advisor to talk about the extreme fear and danger that lurks when it comes to cybersecurity, right? And the threats and the vulnerabilities. But based off what you guys are saying, it's a nice weaving of FUD, storytelling, and really data that backs up those other two things that we just said to really bring that trust and a seat at the table when it comes to cybersecurity advising.
So
you need to help people batten down the hatches.
Hey,
I'm losing. I'm losing.
Brad, I don't think you're playing. I think you need to think about what you've done and take a couple seconds to go to ChatGPT and let's get some damn puns. No, you're the boss. You do you.
He is our coxswain. We got to show him some love. He's guiding us here.
Careful. So there's this amazing story that's about a space pirate. It's called Star Wars, and I use that to help cybersecurity professionals get in the right mindset for sales. So they all think they're the heroes. My job is to go into this area. I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm going to defeat the bad guys, and I'm going to save the universe. And they are mistaken. Cybersecurity salespeople are not Luke Skywalker. They are Yoda. You are a guide and an advisor. The hero of the story is your customer, and you're there to make sure that they are safe. So when I was always afraid of cold calling. I was always afraid of doing the basic sales behavior. But when I got it in my head that I'm just Yoda and I've got somebody out there who needs the wisdom, all of a sudden I got in a different mindset. Don't talk like Yoda. That's not what I'm saying. Bobby, I see it in your eyes. That's not what I'm saying.
Worth a try.
No, look, if like the next 3 months you try cold calling like Yoda, hook me up on LinkedIn. Tell me how it goes. I really record some of those stuff. But the idea of sales is that of an advisor. And so the friction point that I find, Brad, I think you're going to be the one to answer this one, is I often have a hard time transitioning out of that advisor role to, oh, I have a quota and I need to close this. I need a yes or a no, right? So what I don't love is at the end of the thing getting a maybe. I want to know what is my next steps and what is your decision process. So how do you make that transition from discovery to now I need to know how you make decisions so that we can progress this thing to either I stop calling you or we're doing business? Can you maybe riff on that a little bit?
Adam, that's a mindset that every MSP and anyone selling or attached to the revenue side of a business, and you use that word progressing, and I always use that in the back of my head is our goal is to always be progressing the sale, and there's different stages of the sales process, but you got to always be thinking, okay, we've done the discovery, we've done the the banter where we're getting together and we're talking and I know, his wives' names, his kids' names, and we're building that trust and with the likability with one another. We people do business with people, and so that's why we're here with Bobby. That's why we're walking the plank with Bobby right now. Okay, there's my first.
There you go.
Dang.
And even though I stole it, I still get a point, right?
That's right. You're on the board, baby.
There we go. And so each little process comes with, okay, well, what's the next step and what's the next step? But ultimately, let's not shy away from things. Like, we're here to do business and make money. We're a for-profit company. I mean, even nonprofits have to make money somehow. And so ultimately, that's what I would say, Adam, is to continue to think through, okay, eventually we're going to get to this conversation about, okay, we're going to transact. But I think it's important to understand that there's a process to get to that. And there's nothing wrong with having a bulldog mindset of eventually we got to get to the transact.
So you just lit something up in my brain, right? I was down in the bilge messing with the anchor, and I pulled up shit because here's the thing is that your use of the discovery process, we're talking about discovery process. We often forget that they need to do discovery process on us. So it's completely appropriate to say, well, this is what an engagement with us looks like. We're going to discover, you're going to learn about us. We're going to have a yes or no at this point. If so, we're going to move over into what's your budget look like? Who are the decision makers? Why do they want this? Why don't they want this? What's their sense of urgency? And you can take 10 minutes and just say, this is how we do business. Does this work with you? And if it doesn't, they always tell you. They're like, well, we don't do that. We'll do this over here. And you're like, okay, well, as long as I know your process and we have a reason to go forward. What we end up doing, and what I never want for a salesperson to do, is get into a meeting where they had a great conversation. I had a lot of fun. And then they come back and they tell the sales manager, oh, we had a great conversation. They loved everything we had to say. And they're like, great, what's the next step? What are you doing next? And well, I don't know. We just had a lot of fun talking, right? And so I think without a structure that you talk through with your customer about what is the system for us to progress to doing business together, it gets really, really hard to break out of bonding and rapport. It gets really, really hard out of getting out of discovery because there's always going to be something more to discover. So I think controls really, I can't fathom not having controls in place.
Absolutely. I think another thing that one word that I really like to use is, what are your concerns? And really, because that comes back to what Bobby was talking about on the previous voyage of the, actually being in sales to help. And that's really what our job is to help. And so by understanding what their concerns are with either the product, the service, the turnaround time, the price, if we understand what their concerns are, we can guidepost them to exactly where they need to go and put them on the right path.
That's right. You're feeling it.
I'm beginning to.
I love it, guys. It's a bummer that you're just beginning to, Brad, because we should probably wrap it up a little bit before we have a mutiny and go way over time.
Yes. So
I think there's some pirate jokes that someone had at some point.
We do have some pirate jokes here, and we're going to kind of go through these.
Yeah, you skip that stuff.
All right, so we are at the pirate joke section. So who wants to take the plank first on this one?
No, I'm the anchor. I like to come right at the end here.
Hey, what does the pirate say when he turns 80?
What?
I'm 80. I'm 80. Get it? I'm 80.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I like that one.
Okay. I wasn't sure I had never said it out loud before, so thanks for working with me.
Yeah. All right, I got the next one.
Okay.
All right, next pirate captain joke. Why did the captain of the IT ship always bring an extra pair of socks?
Well, I don't know. Why did he?
In case they experienced a system reboot.
That's
okay.
That's right.
Hey, Bobby. Hey, Bobby.
Hey.
Why couldn't the pirate play cards? This is because he was standing on a deck. He was standing on it. He's woo.
Yeah, you can't play it if you're on it.
That's it.
That's good.
That's it.
That's good. Hey, what is a pirate's favorite statistical software?
What?
It's the answer to every pirate joke. Arrrg.
There we go.
Oh. Oh.
All right, here's my next one in this. It's a little throwback to Hook Security too, but why did the IT captain go broke?
Why?
Because he lost his domain in a phishing attack. No?
I don't think you Googled that
No.
one. I think that was an original.
No? Okay.
I like it.
Yeah. Why don't pirates shower?
Hey,
Why
Chris,
don't? Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna do. Can I do my limerick?
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right, guys, focus up. Here we go. We're recording this. This is important. There once was a pirate named Gates who liked to rumba on skates. He fell on his cutlass, and now he is nutless and perfectly useless on dates. Yar.
Yar. If there was ever going to be an anchor.
Yar.
Yeah. All right. Glad this is recorded.
Yeah. So guys, this was a lot of fun. We really got into a lot of really neat things here and a lot of key things to talking about engagement, mitigating risk, sales. And we're really hoping that the MSPs that joined us or they're going to listen to this recording got a lot from it. I know I got a lot from it. And man, Bobby, Adam, it was a lot of fun jamming out with you guys and taking on the cybersecurity seas.
I love it.
Always
Thanks
great.
for having us, guys.
Great times. Excited to hang out soon. Oh, hold on. We just got one in the chat. Oh, wait, that was you, Adam. Okay, I was like, who is Adam? Why don't pirates shower before they walk the plank? Because they'll just wash up on shore later. Little bonus.
There we go. And who won the tally? Does Maggie have it for us? I'm pretty sure
by
Adam
far.
and Bobby were probably closest. I was definitely last.
I think you and I were closer than I was to Adam. Adam crushed it.
Adam was crushing the puns.
Well, you guys were here to provide value. I was just having a good time.
Won't argue with that, Adam.
Oh, dang it. Oh, that hurt more than I thought it was going to.
All right, guys.
Take care.
Great times.
Thank you, guys.